Hello, and welcome to this how-to video that is focused on developing a demand creation plan. By watching this video, you will learn the process how to develop an effective demand creation strategy and guide flawless tactical execution. By following this video, you will be able to build an integrated lead generation plan that will build a pipeline of qualified opportunities for sales to meet or exceed their revenue targets. Specifically, the video walks through the key components of a demand creation plan, provides graphics to communicate each concept, and includes examples or text placeholders for each concept. The process that I will share with you to build a demand creation plan that produces qualified leads has been tested at Fortune 1000 companies and startups. Let's get started. Demand creation planning, the demand creation process. There is a managed, repeatable process that should be applied to creating a demand creation plan. Here, the process starts with market sizing. It's important to know if a market is large enough to support the revenue requirements of the business. Next, the solution needs to be clearly defined and a unique selling proposition crafted that will resonate with the target audience. Reverse engineer the revenue targets to lead targets to synchronize sales and marketing. The demand creation strategy needs to be developed to provide alignment to corporate objectives and direction for tactical decision-making. An integrated plan needs to be developed and executed against a timeline versus one-off programs or events. The database of suspects, prospects, and customers needs to be established. Compelling offers that are aligned by audience and stage of the buying process needs to be documented. Marketing automation and Salesforce automation need to be embraced and integrated. Demand management processes need to be established to convert qualified leads to qualified opportunities. Sales tools need to be crafted and communicated to the sales team in order to optimize each at-bat. Metrics need to be established, monitored, and acted upon to optimize the process. Demand creation planning, estimating the market. Estimating the market requires some segmentation. Within your target market, create homogeneous segments based on the appropriate criteria for your business. Next, estimate the size of each market segment. Then, make assumptions about market penetration rates by incorporating the technology adoption curve. Add in estimates for the average selling price and calculate revenue. Demand creation planning, sizing the market opportunity. Using the total available, served, or target market, identify the industries that are most likely to purchase your offering. Resist the temptation to default to all industries, as that will serve to dilute your message and diminish differentiation. Even if your offering is applicable to a wide range of industries, identifying specific industry knowledge, workflows, and subject matter experts will make a huge difference in selling and implementing. Take advantage of your differentiation and subject matter expertise and identify the industries and the number of companies in each of those industries. Take it one step further and document the functions within the organization that would be part of the decision-making or implementation process. Next, estimate the number of contacts in each function that would be ideal to connect with, and this will serve as a framework to size your suspect, prospect, and customer database. Demand creation planning, demand creation plan overview. It's also a good idea to paint the macro picture before getting too far into the weeds. Also, this will serve to communicate at the executive level, goals, objectives, and strategies. First, communicate what the objective is for the year. This seems obvious, but it can be rather confusing. For example, is the focus to drive revenue or bookings? New license revenue or installed base sales? Next, state the overall strategy. In this example, it is split between new business and installed base sales. Detail is also provided to the size of company targeted and the demand creation strategy. Last, the key market segments have been outlined. Unanimous agreement from sales, marketing, and the executive team needs to be reached at this point. If not, go back and rinse and repeat. Demand creation planning, project revenue. It's a good practice to decompose the revenue projection down to the product level by quarter. In this example, product, service, and maintenance are highlighted. In addition, a product and service split is provided as well as a split by segment. Demand creation planning. How do you make your number? In this example, the focus is to drive bookings. On the y-axis, companies have been segmented into top 10, named accounts, Fortune 2000, small and medium businesses, and OEM. The number of accounts for each segment has been identified, whether the business is new or existing, revenue or bookings targets, the coverage model, definition around the universe, and insights about marketing strategies has been summarized. Demand creation planning, reverse engineering the numbers. It's important to synchronize sales and marketing, and one way to do that is through the numbers. By taking the sales goals and reverse engineering the number of responses, marketing qualified leads, sales qualified leads, and closed won deals, it's clear to the sales and marketing teams what they are signed up to accomplish. In this example, the closed won deals are decomposed to highlight where the deals will actually come from to reach a goal. At the bottom of the slide is some insight into the demand creation strategy as well. Demand creation planning, terminology, and roles. It's important to take another step to synchronize sales and marketing, and that is through the documentation of terminology and roles. Demand creation, if done right, is actually part of the sales process. Let me explain. If demand creation or marketing did not exist, a sales rep would still be expected to sell. The sales rep is an expensive resource, and when you add in the cost of sales engineers and of other people to support the sales process, it is really expensive. Another point is that salespeople are typically really good at selling and may not be as good at prospecting. Now, assume a sales process to be linear, for argument's sake, and place prospecting on the left end of the spectrum and closed won deals on the right end of the spectrum. Now, sales and marketing management need to sit down and document all the steps involved between these two endpoints. Next, a vertical line is placed by mutual consent of sales and marketing as to where demand creation, or marketing, will focus and the handoff point to sales. It is critical to have a managed, repeatable process, clear terminology, and specific roles documented for clean handoffs and follow-up. The sales and marketing teams need to work hand in hand every day and to communicate through meetings, conference calls, and reports to ensure everything is working smoothly and to make adjustments. Demand creation planning, sales and marketing pipeline. Some people refer to this as the waterfall. This step will help ensure that the market is large enough to support the revenue requirements of the business. At the top of the pipeline is an estimate of the number of suspects. Here, there is an assumption that 50 contacts for the targeted 4,000 companies is the goal. If you believe the research that states there are over 20 people involved in the purchase of a product with a value over $100,000, this is not a bad estimate. Note, there is no guarantee that the people targeted will be the 20 involved in the purchase process, so the 2.5 times multiple of this number is appropriate. Next, what is the estimate of people responding to an inbound and outbound campaign? Depending upon whether historical data exists, this may have to be an assumption based on industry averages. Also, each program will have a different response rate, but it is better to start with something rather than nothing. It is also better to start simple, one estimate, and expand to more detailed estimates, as you otherwise run the risk of analysis paralysis. Estimates are then placed in for marketing qualified leads, sales qualified leads, and closed won deals. Estimating the average selling price facilitates calculating revenue or bookings. Managing this waterfall is critical, as the goal is to make the funnel tight with conversion rates high. There are two ways to increase the number of closed won deals. Number 1, push more through the funnel. Number 2, convert more of what is in the funnel. Demand creation planning, model assumptions. When building demand creation programs, it requires advanced planning. On the prior slide, the waterfall illustrates the steps required to arrive at a closed won deal. However, the element of time was not included. On this slide, the focus is on qualified opportunities, QOs, and this would translate to a sales qualified lead, SQL, on the prior slide. Listed on the y-axis are different types of demand creation programs. On the top of the x-axis, quarters are listed. Assumptions about the percentage of qualified opportunities that will be created by quarter have been documented. In general, the more interaction with a prospect by a salesperson, the greater the probability of a qualified opportunity being created in a shorter time span. Demand creation planning, demand creation strategy. In general, there are four primary demand creation strategies. Number one, the chase strategy. This is when a company builds a database of companies and targets or contacts that fit the target account profile. Number two, the co-create strategy. The basic idea is that someone has an existing relationship, is an influencer, a thought leader, or has authorship with people that fit your target account profile. The idea is to leverage this third party and have them bridge you into their community through their seal or endorsement. Number three, the they will come strategy. This is similar in concept to the co-create strategy, but it assumes a company will do it on their own by having a compelling offer, being a high-profile company, having subject matter expertise, establishing thought leadership, or strong authorship. Number four, the COT strategy. In this scenario, the focus is to lure your target audience to a website by offering a compelling reason for them to visit the site. The goal is not to have someone fill out a form, but to capture the name of the company via reverse lookup and identify people in that company at that location that have a title that you are targeting. The focus is centered on determining what companies have smoke coming from them with the assumption that there must be a fire inside. Demand creation planning, elements of a campaign. In a sense, all campaigns are different, and to an extent, all campaigns have many of the same components. Specifically, an integrated campaign usually contains the value proposition and relevant sales messaging, a database of suspects, prospects, and/or customers, proof as in some credibility or proof in the form of an endorsement, review, analyst review, influencer recommendation, etc. Demand creation vehicles. These are the mediums used to carry a message to the target audience. Sales tools are the tangibles that a sales representative will use to engage a prospect or customer to move them through the sales cycle. Waves are the themes, trending topics, or current news that analysts, influencers, press, and thought leaders are talking about, and the things that prospects and customers are interested in learning about. Follow-up are the processes that are applied to responses from an outbound or inbound campaign to qualify a response to a qualified lead. Offers are the bait that are dangled in front of prospects and customers to entice them to divulge information about themselves and their companies. Demand creation planning, the integrated campaign. Campaigns should not be something marketing dreams up, executes, and surprise the rest of the organization when they are launched. Integrated programs are best developed by a team. Ideally, the same team that is assembled to form an idea to develop an offering and escorts that concept to general release is the team that should be involved in building lead generation programs. The product marketing team contributes content, messages, use cases, and insights about the market, prospects, and customers. Market development or demand creation is the team responsible for assembling and executing the integrated program. The sales team needs to be involved in targeting the program, developing the offer, and following up on qualified leads. The pre-sales team are the subject matter experts and contribute real-time market, competitive, and customer insights. Knowledge of use cases, market dynamics, and competitor actions is incorporated into campaigns. Service and support needs to be aware of what programs are being developed from the point of ratifying the offering's capabilities and minimizing any shortcomings. Sales operations is responsible for making sure the Salesforce automation system is capable of storing, retrieving, and reporting information about campaigns and lead follow-up. Sales ops also provides insights into compensation plans and insights about how to motivate the sales team. Demand creation planning, the integrated program planning framework. There is a blueprint for assembling the elements that make up an integrated program. From the top, the integrated program needs to leverage the brand identity that has been established, so the style and voice guidelines must be followed. Awareness should be created by leveraging the value proposition and sales messages that exist in the messaging and positioning framework as opposed to being whipped up on the fly. The target audience needs to be documented. The content strategy for social media, press, analysts, and media needs to be summarized. An abbreviated buyer behavior model should be constructed that highlights where the campaign will begin with a prospect or customer and where it will leave them. Ideally, the content and the demand creation vehicles that will be used will be documented. Demand creation planning. Identify the primary targets. A good practice is to start with a typical organizational chart for each industry and identify the functions or titles that are prime targets. Sometimes it is appropriate to prepare organizational charts from a top-down and a bottoms-up approach. Other times, a business versus technical segmentation is appropriate. Demand creation planning, the database. The database has three primary components: 1. Customers, 2. Prospects, and 3. Suspects. In terms of completeness of data, again, there are three fundamental states: 1. Company information, 2. Contact information, 3. Full contact information that is valid, demographic and behavioral. Demand creation planning, the target account profile. The target account profile is a sketch of a prospect that has a high propensity to purchase that sales and marketing jointly develop. The fewer the questions, the better, but there is theoretically no limit to the number of questions included as long as they are ranked and categorized. Also, it is important to note that all of the information does not have to be collected all at once. The information can be collected over time and from various mediums: website forms, conference calls, or face-to-face meetings. In this example, there were 4 key areas: opportunity, budget, core issues, other enterprise software. In each area, there are additional questions, and it is best if these are closed-end questions that can be automatically tallied, interpreted, and processed. As with any good system, it is crucial to have a feedback mechanism to add, modify, or delete questions to keep the target account profile tight and accurate, as the goal is to identify prospects with a high propensity to purchase. Demand creation planning, go-to-market messaging. Go-to-market messaging is really the sales messages. Going back to the messaging and positioning framework, a unique selling proposition was created as well as key messages. When building marketing campaigns, it is necessary to work within the messaging framework to develop sales messages that are relevant to the market, product, and audience, hence, go-to-market messages. Starting from the top, it is a good idea to start with a theme for the campaign or to leverage the theme for a quarter, half, or fiscal year. Next, summarize the key business issues that are being addressed to keep everyone on the same page. The specific solution being offered needs to be documented as well. Then, state the strategic and tactical benefits. Close with ROI statements, facts, statistics to quantify benefits and add proof or credibility to the pain of the problem and benefits of the solution. Demand creation planning, messages by audience. As go-to-market messages are developed, customized messages should be tailored for each functional area. In addition, it is useful to craft a strategic and function message for each function so that sales messaging for individual contributors, managers, directors, VPs, and executives is available. Demand creation planning, content throughout the funnel. It's critical to have relevant content throughout the sales funnel to keep prospects and customers engaged and willing to provide information for content. At each stage of the sales process, there is a different sales goal that ranges from collecting information to making a selection. And for each stage of the sales process, there is a tactic or program that can be leveraged to keep prospects and customers engaged and willing to divulge information that is necessary to the sales process. Demand creation planning, the journey board. The journey board is basically a linear representation of all of the content that is available for a prospect or customer, aligned in a logical progression from topical to offering specific. Think of the journey board as a controlled environment to introduce each and every piece of content to a customer or prospect in a linear format. Granted, this is not a typical scenario, but it's a great format to use to build a model that can be used with the marketing automation system. In this example, there are 3 primary segments: prospect, lead, and close, and each of these segments has 2 subsegments. Under each subsegment, an asset is documented and has been designed to align with the prospect at that moment in the sales or buying process. Obviously, this is a living document and is updated with additions, deletions, and modifications based on relevancy and effectiveness. Demand creation planning, demand creation vehicles. Demand creation vehicles, or the mediums that marketers use to connect with prospects and customers, is rich and continues to evolve. A key to remember is that an integrated approach, there is not one silver bullet. Oftentimes, CEOs and CFOs want to rank programs and, quote, kill those with the lowest ROI, end quote. There are a number of issues with this type of thinking. First, ROI numbers are dependent upon how the metrics are set up in the marketing automation system. Do all programs that touch a closed-won deal receive credit for the deal? Does the first touch or the last touch? Or is it simply prorated? Regardless of the choices made, all approaches have pluses and minuses to them, and it's quite difficult for someone who is unfamiliar with all of the nuances to make a blanket judgment. Secondly, programs that are focused further downstream in the sales funnel typically have a higher correlation to closed-won deals. However, without a continuous feed of responses, qualified leads, and qualified opportunities, it is not possible to have a steady run rate for closed-won deals, and eliminating upstream programs will decrease the ROI of downstream programs in the long run. The last point is that different programs resonate with different audiences. Also, people learn and consume information differently. Some like to read, watch, listen, talk, or do. Not having a touch point in all areas will alienate some audiences and impact ROI. As a result, it is necessary to include branding, the website, referrals, direct mail, email, PR, social media, events, online marketing, and phone calls in the demand creation mix. Demand creation planning. How does marketing support sales? In many organizations, the distribution model can be complex. For example, the sales organization may include global accounts, named accounts, and general territories. In this lead generation example, there is a specific plan to penetrate strategic accounts. Here, a sales rep has 4 strategic accounts, so what can marketing do to support the strategic rep? In short, marketing supports strategic accounts by providing account intelligence and account evangelism. Demand creation planning, account evangelism. With respect to account evangelism, providing marketing resources to a strategic account champion to publish newsletters and blogs, sponsor lunch and learns, hold events, build microsites, tweet on their behalf, and promote the champion for external speaking opportunities are just some of the marketing programs that can be delivered. Demand creation planning, account intelligence. In terms of account intelligence, providing line of business and information technology organizational charts with full contact information is a deliverable. Highlighting business issues, internal projects, and providing social media tools and SFA tools are additional deliverables that marketing can supply to the strategic account rep. Demand creation planning, an integrated campaign timeline. Integrated campaigns are campaigns that span a considerable time period, have content that is leveraged and packaged from multiple formats, and delivery mechanisms to accommodate the consumption preferences of the individuals in the target audience. In this example, the climax is a webcast. However, there are a number of steps and events before and after the webcast. For example, content on the website will be added and optimized for SEO. A press release could be issued about the content, speakers, results, or business impact that will be addressed in the webcast. Google or Facebook PPC may be an appropriate venue for deliverables that can be packaged from the website or to drive attendance. Content from the webcast can be sneaked through SlideShare, tweets, Facebook posts, and YouTube, and the content can be packaged up in a lead nurture path. Case studies, white papers, blog posts, and research notes can be developed from the content communicated in the webcast as well. Finally, package up the webcast and make it available on demand. Demand creation planning, GTM overview. A great format to communicate an integrated campaign is to summarize it as a go-to market overview. The example here is for healthcare. In the first section, the key issues of hot topics are summarized. These are those that are trending up, or they appear as conference themes, blog posts, and titles for research notes. These are sure to resonate with those familiar and interested in the topic. The target audience is rated to ensure that sales and marketing are synchronized on whom to target. Key messages are restated as they will appear in the campaign in all campaign communications. Customers are highlighted to add credibility and to serve as references. Offers are documented to clearly communicate what assets the organization has for the particular topic. Last, sales tools that the sales organization can use to increase the probability of advancing each opportunity to the next step in the sales process are summarized. In closing, now you have seen what is needed to create an integrated lead generation plan that will build a pipeline full of qualified opportunities for sales to meet or exceed their revenue targets. The process that I have shared with you to build a demand creation plan that produces qualified leads has been tested at Fortune 1000 companies and startups. In fact, this content serves as the backbone of an advanced marketing class taught at the executive MBA level. If you need a professionally designed template that has been built by a CMO to jumpstart your effort, please visit vpmarketingondemand.com.